Oops, I forgot to share.
Okay, done.
Let
But you
me,
can share your screen. Can you share the screen?
yeah, I forgot about that here.
Okay.
Let's go to, this is the newest paper. I took some of the, you'll see, some of them are off the last paper, but I added more
Oh,
um,
okay.
because we didn't finish the last one, but it was getting too long. And if I keep adding to it, it's going to go forever.
Okay, no problem.
I shared this with you, but I just did it before we joined the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And that other student, I think it's probably for the best that if someone comes along, I have another new student, but she's very beginner level. She wants to do some speaking in Thai, so that's usually a sign that
Oh,
she's super basic. But
that's
if
mean.
someone comes and they're advanced, we can put them in your class if it's okay with you.
Oh, okay, no problem. I think I might work on the recruitment, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, there have to be some people that are high level.
So, you don't waste your effort on like preparing for my materials only. So, yeah,
It's
I know.
not a
So,
so let's start with this one.
you type everything by your own, or you?
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay. So it's a. I mean, it take. I think it might. It will take you a lot of time to like prepare.
Um, it, it does, but the first one I always type out a lot so that we have some later.
Oh, okay.
And I ask my friends for ideas too.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I'll add this bit. Okay. This one. Let's skip uniforms in school for now. We'll come back to that.
Okay. So is willpower a skill that can be learned and improved, or do you think individuals have natural limits to their willpower? I guess I saw this word before through Facebook. Like they have the quotation, the quotes and all. But willpower, uh, I think the meaning of willpower is it like um determination? Is it determination?
Yes.
Yeah. And then yeah, I think it can be improved and learned to. Like maybe you are triggered, when you feel triggered, then you have the willpower. Is it true? And then
Oh, that seems like that's a very specific case, but yeah.
yeah, so do you think individuals have natural limits? Yeah, I think natural limits to their willpower. You mean like uh
Yeah.
a
Specific.
stop?
Of course, people have natural limits that I think we can agree on that, but do they have limits to their willpower or is it endless depending on the situation?
I have to say, depending on the situation, because sometimes we might get bored and then we lose all our determination after, yeah, maybe if we face any problems or we see no improvements at all for too long after working on so hard but you don't get the outcome that you expect, then um you might stop right there and you lose your willpower. That's it.
It's good.
Okay, thank you.
I don't really have anything to add there. It seems like you understand the concept well.
Oh, thank you.
So let's go to this simple one before we go to number three
Okay,
about uniforms in school.
do you think wearing uniforms in school is beneficial? I think yes, because you get to can I say distinct dis
Uh, distinct.
distinguish, is it distinguish I use the word distinguish. That's mean like to differentiate.
Disdained.
Disdain means
Disdained.
differentiate. Is it?
I haven't heard disdained with an ed.
Like we
Actually,
can
yeah, I have,
distinguish
but disdain is more common as a verb. So disdain is like the opposite of distinguish.
the
Disdain
opposite
would
of
be
distinguish.
like base, sort of. Actually, no, distinguish is just can be many things, but disdain is to like pick someone out and look down on them. So, for example, like you could say, like in this time, people who didn't dress in this way were disdained or were looked on with disdain.
Oh, okay. And
So
then
I guess you would go ahead and
just
distinguish.
thinking of like saying that like with the school uniforms you can differentiate. In a
Okay.
simpler term, I can say
Yeah.
differentiate.
The distinguish is the word you're looking for. Distinguished has two meanings. So one is the adjective form of distinguish, and the other is a positive form. So like it's not distinguished as in I'll show you both examples. So
he distinguished her by the color of her dress. That means
or,
he recognized her.
right,
He recognized.
was able to tell her apart from the others. And there's also one, let's do another he. He was known as a distinguished gentleman. So like
Different from
someone
others.
here it means specifically someone who has a lot of different distinctions, like yeah, different than others, but in a very positive way. Like this one, you could say so it shouldn't have an apostrophe there. He distinguished the skunk by its awful odor.
That
So
means he can tell that it's a skunk. It's a skunk by its
right.
odor. Yeah.
Correct.
So the first sentence is the first one is actually the verb, while the second one will be the adjective, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So can I say that, like if you wear uniforms to schools, you have different kinds of like uniforms here. I'm not sure about in the United States. I think the students, they don't wear uniforms, right? They just wear.
Schools, no, they don't. But they do at the private schools. Most of them.
Oh, okay. Because we can distinguish like who are the prefects, librarians, or even the normal students. So they will behave well. And also another thing is some students, they might wear they might get too exposed. Is it exposed? Can I use the word exposed? Like some girls, they wear.
Can you give an example?
Like they are too exposed means like they wear sexy clothes or like.
Yeah, that would work.
Sexy. Is it too exposed?
Yeah, you could say that. You could say like I'm trying to think inappropriate, I would say.
Inappropriate. Oh yeah.
That's more neutral.
Oh yeah. Some students, they wear inappropriate attires and it makes the school doesn't look like a school.
What if they have a rule that says, okay, pants must be a certain length, or you have to wear pants or a long skirt. Skirt has to be below the knee. There's
Uh,
no, you have to, if you're a girl, you have to wear just a normal shirt, not a low cut shirt. Wouldn't that work?
uh,
Or do you still
yes,
think
but
it's better to
still there will be some students who flout the rules. Is it flout or
have
float?
flout is
Flout.
correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
flout the rules. And
we'll go
then
with that.
also I think yeah, wearing a uniform is better than wearing the can you say house shirt or casual shirt? Oh,
Sorry, I didn't understand the
we say casual attire
casual,
or house
casual,
shirt.
casual attire. So casual, and then this is like attire, like
Can I
on a
say like casual shirt or house shirt?
casual only.
Casual only.
You want to have a short A at the beginning. If you say casual, people won't understand you, I don't think.
Casual.
Casual, yeah.
Casual or casual? Sorry.
I would say casual.
Casual.
I'm trying to think if there's an accent that doesn't sound like that. Yeah, there's some accents, but they're like regional. Like southern US, they say like casual instead of casual, but it's still,
Casual.
I've never heard casual.
No, okay.
So just stick with casual.
Ah,
Anyway,
casual.
so
Okay.
I understand what you were saying now. So you're saying versus casual attire. What about some other benefits? Like, for example, do you think it helps with if students are too poor to buy like different clothes? Is it better for them to have uniforms because then all the kids, no matter how wealthy or poor they are, they can wear the same uniforms?
Yeah, right. You and also wear if you don't wear school uniforms, some students they might get bored with their own attire, so they will end up spending more money to buy fancy clothes to school to show off to their friends. So yeah, I think wearing school uniforms will be better off than wearing casual casual attire. Right.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me too. Um, yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add. Let's see. I guess one thing, do you think that like are there actual good arguments against uniforms? Why did I guess my question is, and I'm not saying I know the answer.
Mhm.
Um, why did why did like a lot of Western schools, why did they move away from uniforms? Like the American schools did. I think most British schools, I want to say, have uniforms. Maybe you can confirm that. But I believe,
Maybe they just want to be comfortable with their attire. They don't want to feel controlled by the school authorities or what, maybe. Because yeah. And then I think the Westerners are quite how do I say that? They have their own sets of opinions. They don't like to feel um breached. Is it? Yeah.
mm, breached. You mean like BREACHED?
Ah, yeah, correct.
Hmm. I can see how you're using it there. Sure. It's not common, but I see I get the meaning. I think it works.
Oh, okay.
Um, like breached as in their personality is breached.
Yeah, but growing up as an Asian, we are quite envious with the school system in United States. Like, wow, they can wear their own clothes, and we have to wear school uniforms. That's boring. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as a kid, I definitely didn't want to wear a uniform, but as I've gotten older, I see the point, you know.
To wear.
My parents always said that uniforms were better, and I understand.
Understand it now. I
Yeah,
see.
I do. I understood their points then, but I just didn't care because I was younger. But especially the class thing, I think is good because otherwise, I mean, you still get a little of this with the uniforms because maybe they don't have enough money to fix the uniform or to buy new ones, but it's still better than like we had students that showed up to school with like pretty dirty clothes sometimes or um the problem that you mentioned where girls would wear inappropriate and boys because boys would wear shirts that had like swear words on them or
Okay.
something that like nudity and then like lots of album covers are like that
Oh,
and
I see.
girls would wear like skirts that were too high or shirts that were too low or for PE class people would forget to bring clothes that we did have a American schools usually have a PE uniform. I think it's a safety thing.
Mm-hmm. Then they forget to like wear it.
Right. They would I as I was saying it, I realized that what I was saying didn't really make sense with the PE uniforms because the idea was on PE days you were supposed to take your uniform to school or keep it in your locker and take it out. You
Oh,
just had to you had to take it home and wash it after PE. There were definitely some kids that never washed their uniforms though, which was pretty disgusting. Like they just left it in their lockers. Um, but yeah, I realize now that that was probably a safety thing because if you weren't wearing the PE uniform, the teacher made you sit for PE class. You weren't allowed to move,
oh,
like run around or anything. I assume because people running around in like the wrong shoes and especially the wrong shoes and pants or whatnot could fall and get hurt, and then somebody could sue the school.
mm, I see.
I think that's something that you'll find about American culture is that people are always happy to sue. Like it's
Yeah.
very, very, very common here.
And also in the United States, they say this word a lot, like Karen. What does it mean by
Karen.
Karen?
Oh, it's like a white woman that
A white woman who
fits a certain stereotype, like makes makes a scene, like arguing loudly with someone
that's
or
me.
like being mean to the like low level workers,
Oh,
like someone at a Dairy Queen, they're yelling at them and like they have a certain way of talking like that people will be like, oh, look at that Karen.
look at Karen. Okay, that's
Yeah,
me.
it's now just become like every white woman that you think is annoying, but
Oh,
it's specifically it has to be it's Caucasian, so white skin, and then a woman.
that is particularly used for the white women.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
mean people who likes to complain a lot.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Like loud complainers.
loud complainers. Okay, I got it.
Um, yeah. So now you know what a Karen is.
Yeah, I always see that in the comment section.
Yeah, it's kind of people are sort of using it in situations that don't really make sense sometimes to me. Like I think it's become like just a word that um for example, like awesome, awesome. This is not a slang word now. We're talking about real
Awesome.
word.
Also means fantastic.
Well, now it does, but it used to mean like, do you know what awe is?
Or AWE. Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Or like awful, like terrible.
It sort of actually, it's from the same So awful means like
Terrible.
terrible, but originally like awe is like fear,
Surprise.
but like being impressed and afraid of something. So like you imagine like you're driving on a road and then you come around the mountain and then you can see like a huge volcano
Mm-hmm.
and you look at it and you're like, wow, that's awesome. Meaning it inspires awe inside of you. And awe is like respect and fear and
Respect and fear.
and being impressed.
That's me
Most
in
of
a
all,
positive way, right?
It's a sort of pot. No, it's not. It's neutral.
It's
If it's neutral or slightly negative, it's
like
like sort of. It's not. I know it's just neutral. It's talking about something that's like inspires an emotion. Awe is an emotion.
oh, okay.
It's a pretty unique emotion where it's like, I guess like imagine like looking out over, again to use like nature, like imagine, well, let's talk about a city, like the first time you go to the top of, I don't know, Petronas Towers, and then you see the whole city down, you might be filled with awe, like wow. And then people say, oh, that was awesome. And then after, because a lot of the same things that you can use the modern definition of awesome, which is like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I say modern definition, it still technically means the other thing. It's
Okay.
just like you'll see it if you see it written. Writers usually try to use it in the correct way,
You
which
mean
is talk about the
what did
feeling
you
of
say? Britain or Britain?
written, WR.
Oh, Britain. Okay.
If you see it written, not Britain, if you see it written down, they're generally talking about, and it's not by like someone commenting on social media or like a brand new writer.
Mm-hmm.
Usually they'll say like he, I'm gonna type it out, like she beheld the awesome power of nature. So here you can see like
We
he was looking.
beheld is the past tense form of behold, right? Because
Yeah,
I don't really get what's the meaning of behold or beheld. I only
like
know the word
to
hold, like
experience.
hold a glass of water. So how
It
about
means to
behold?
experience.
Hmm?
I could switch it to experienced and it would have the same meaning.
Oh, okay.
But beheld is more focused on the eyes. Experience can mean any sense. Beheld can sort of mean any sense as well, but specifically, beheld is used a lot of times for something that we see with our eyes. So, like,
Okay.
she beheld the power of steel because she could see the steel wasn't moving, and she was
Steel.
like, steel like the metal. I'm just trying to throw
Oh,
out
okay.
examples.
STE.
But
Yeah, right.
STEL, yeah.
Alright.
So yeah, behold is a sort of a strange one. But if you think about held, if that helps you remember,
Something.
like imagine that same feeling,
Mm-hmm.
but as like an experience and with your eyes.
Oh,
So
like
like taking something in and like grabbing it all with your eyes, like beheld. It's like a
that
very, it's like
you
a, go ahead.
witness the power of the nature and
Yeah.
then you can like feel it. Or you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
also say that she beheld the, can I say, because I think I used to see this word before in the Bible, like she beheld the power of God, is it?
Yeah. The awesome power of God. If you read it in the Bible, it's going to be, and they say awesome,
Mm-hmm.
then they are going to be the, in the Bible, awesome is only going to be used as in the traditional way, which means like
Oh, okay.
they might say like the awesome power of, I don't remember reading awesome in the Bible, but it's been a while.
Mhm.
Um, I could have missed it. Who knows? And there's different translations.
Right.
So, um, yeah, it if it were in something like the Bible, which is super traditional,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be the I keep saying correct, but technically they're both correct. But it's going to be the traditional definition, meaning like you can switch awesome with terrible. Terrible now does have a slight negative like tint to it, but it's the same idea. Like the terrible power of God. It would be like she just saw God do something that was really powerful and it scared her a bit. But it doesn't mean like God did something that was like morally bad necessarily. It's just
Mm.
like think about like thunder and lightning. People associate them with terrible
Oh,
power
yeah.
because they're not like good or bad. They just have a lot of power and they have
Mm.
a chaotic way of acting.
Okay. Fair.
But yeah, awesome and terrible, both words that have lost their meaning.
I see. Oh yeah, can you like undo it because I might go
Oh,
back and
sorry.
check it, like study about it more.
Okay. So I want to go to jingoism, chauvinism, these words, because you should know nationalism and hypernationalism.
Mm.
So, but jingoism and chauvinism are a little more complicated. Okay, so let's talk about this.
Is it appropriate to teach religion in schools? And is it appropriate to teach national pride in a public school setting? Where should the line be drawn between appropriate nationalism and jingoism? Okay, I think nationalism means like, is it like patriotism, whereby you
Patriotism, yeah.
like love your country and you have this love towards your country, while jingoism, I don't get what's the meaning of jingoism.
Jingoism is like extreme nationalism.
Like
Like,
China, mainland China.
sure, I don't want to get too political, but yeah, like, but anyone can be jingoist. To
This
be
means
jingoist, it means like to be supportive of your country to an extreme extent.
okay, support.
Let's say over supportive of your country. So like it would be like Americans who are super like, you know what, I remember like after September 11th, there were people that just said like, oh, America should just drop bombs on that country and like nuclear bombs, uh, being that country being uh, Iraq, Afghanistan, whatever. Um, that would be jingoism, where it's like taking an idea of like, okay, people should come together and as a nation
Mm-hmm.
and say, okay, we should go to. It's associated with wanting to go to war with other countries a lot.
This means you don't care, you just want to make sure that your countryman wins.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah, it's
you
just
don't care about the
extreme.
consequences, you don't care about whether other people are suffering or not. You
Correct. You don't
just
care about the consequences outside of your country.
that's me other than your races, you don't care. Right.
I wouldn't. It doesn't necessarily have to be race
Oh
based.
yeah.
It's because nationalism is the belief in a nation.
Oh,
So nationalism is on its own. There
oh,
are ways to make it racial, but on its own, nationalism is the idea that, oh, instead of like having an alliance to your family or to your, even to like God or whatever.
Give an example, like, is
Sure.
it jingoism is like, for example, um, when there is a controversial issue that makes the Chinese get mad, and then they ban certain brands like the H&M issue, and then they ban all the products, or maybe
Yeah.
they ban the purchase of iPhones. Is it like
They
that?
ban- Did they
Like,
ban the purchase of iPhones?
yeah, because they are originally manufactured in, oh yeah, it's manufactured in China, right? But
Right.
the brand itself comes from the United States, right?
So they banned iPhones, really?
Uh,
I didn't know
I
that.
don't think so. Actually, I mean, the I think the latest model are like selling like, what is the idioms already? It's selling like cakes, is it?
Hot cake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cakes. Yeah,
So
in
are there
everything.
just not official Apple stores there, maybe?
Uh,
I know there's lots of, I've seen like the fake Apple stores, but
big Apple stores. I'm not sure about it, but even here in Malaysia, everyone is like um crazy over that
yeah,
mod.
every year.
Despite the price is like so high.
Not here. They're not super expensive here, but yeah.
What phone
Also,
are
there's
you using?
such a shortage
What
of
phone are you using?
everything. What's that?
What phone are you using?
This is an iPhone X.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
I can't afford it. Too expensive for me.
I actually, someone gave, my girlfriend gave that to me, but it had issues. Uh, I had to get the screen fixed, and yeah, I don't know. It sometimes I had, I'm pretty sure they put, well, I know that they didn't put an original Apple screen in it. They put some other screen in it. So it sometimes has weird issues where the screen will like flicker, go up and down really quickly. So it's not amazing, but it works.
Oh,
Um,
girlfriend is so special. I mean, most of the Asian girls, they don't buy things for men. Only the man buy things for girl, for ladies.
yeah,
Maybe
that's
my boyfriend is different. He's quite useless. He's quite useless. He doesn't buy things for me. But especially when he's like trying to make me feel impressed, then he buys things for me. After we get together, then he doesn't seem to care anymore. That's sad. I'm just kidding.
funny,
Maybe
but
he's
yeah,
very far from here. And even the processing fee, he still count. He's very calculating. Even the processing fee, I say, uh, don't you know how to like transfer some allowances to me so I don't work so hard? So he said, got a processing fee. I say, only few bucks more I cannot afford, man. And he said, don't want lah. When we meet up, then only he gives me. I say, useless. Nah, just kidding. But
what, how do you send money back and forth between, do you have to use a third party or can you just transfer it directly?
I don't have a bank account there, but yeah, I don't ask him to send money. I'm just like
I was
joking.
just joking.
I'm just joking. Yeah.
I was just curious if, because I know when I had, I don't know, it seems like a lot of countries have their own, like, for example, when I had the Indonesian students, the teacher asked me to send via this app that I'd never heard of. It was like top remit. I'm sure remit means something in their language because there were a bunch of different sites that said remit.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I
it
don't
was
really.
like transfer wise, but then
Yeah.
it asked me for my asked me for my Indonesian address, which I couldn't do. So then ended up just using PayPal.
Oh, PayPal.
Yeah,
Does it charge in the processing fee?
it does, but only on so for person to person, non-commercial, then it's fine. But
And it's free. It's free of charge.
free, yeah. They what they do, how they get you is like I sent money to Singapore because I had a part coming in. What they do is they do a really shitty, sorry, they do a really,
No problem.
they take the conversion rate, the exchange rate, and then they play with it so that you get a really bad exchange rate, and then PayPal takes the difference. That PayPal exchange rate is different than the real exchange rate, so you have to check it. But it's always, they say they don't take a fee, but it's actually a percent.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
it's not
I
like a big
think
secret or anything.
Wise works fine for me. And
Probably because you're sending the same currency. Like
they actually to charge a processing fee, maybe like after converting to baht, Thai baht, it will be like 50 baht per transaction. But depending on the amount, if I think the highest, the maximum will go up to like 100 baht for each transaction. Yeah,
it's really
depending on the
low.
amount that you're sending. Yeah, I
I
guess.
think Wise seems to work very well though. That's what I
Yeah.
use between America and Thailand, although I haven't had to use it in a while.
Mm.
Um, anyway, so you gave that example of jingoism with communist China,
The,
mainland China.
the
Um,
mainlanders
yeah,
will ban certain um,
they ban a
products
lot of movies.
just because the brand itself might seem to upset their country, maybe.
Yeah, did they ban it or did they like boycott?
Uh, oh yeah, boycott. But after
Yeah.
some time when people forget about it, then then they stop the boycott.
Yeah. Well, they definitely, I don't think the boycotting Apple products would work because people go crazy for them.
Yeah,
Um,
when they buy apples, that's mean they want to like show that they are rich.
yeah, true.
And then is it appropriate to teach religion in schools? I think uh for Malaysia, I think no, because we have different races living together. And
Mhm.
then yeah, but we as a Chinese myself, I don't think it's appropriate because if you learn religion, that means it's going to take up a lot of time and all. And there is an issue here in Malaysia because um I would say the majority the Malays would want the Chinese and Indians, every one of us to learn the Jawi handwriting. It is like the Arabic handwriting. It's very, very hard. And then
Is
we
it actually
actually,
Arabic or just like similar?
I'm not sure about it. It's called the Jawi
Oh,
handwriting. You have to
that.
learn about it. Like it's related to um Islam, and then we tend to like oppose the idea of getting to it. So, and then a lot of Malays got enraged, is it, or outraged?
Outraged.
Outraged, yeah, by it, like saying that, oh, you live in Malaysia, you are supposed to learn all these. So, and then fights, I mean, it will cause unrest. Sometimes religions can cause the social unrest between um, the people who live in Malaysia. Yeah.
Right.
And then I would say in Malay schools, they learn about religions a lot. So they feel like, oh, if let's say you are sick, then you pray to God and then your sickness will be healed. They don't ask for, they don't believe in science. Sometimes if religions get out of control, they tend to believe in their God more than science. Like we have a lot of anti-vaxxers here.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think moral studies will be enough for us.
Do you think it's appropriate to have religious schools? So separate schools if you want your children to grow up, like for example, you have like a Islamic school, a Muslim school, or a Christian school. Should
Uh,
that be allowed? Should everyone be in the public school system? Okay, I think we can agree probably that it's not a good idea to teach religion in public schools
mm-mm.
because it's going to cause problems. But should Catholic schools be allowed to exist? Muslim schools?
Should be okay unless you um I mean, yeah, it's possible, but you have to set a boundary. And
Between the religion and the rest of the classes, or
yeah, like the time allocation to different kinds of subjects. Like you don't learn about like religion uh almost every day. Maybe you can practice the culture, the prayers, you can make prayers at school, but yeah, you have to balance it.
that makes sense to me. I think the Catholic schools seem to be, I've never been inside a Catholic school even, but they seem to be popular because the education quality is high. So I've seen in Thailand the Muslim students going to Catholic schools. I don't think you would see that in Malaysia as much, but
Yes,
there's
we do
more.
have it. We do have Catholic schools, but
Right. But I mean,
the
would you have
Muslim,
Muslims going there?
of course not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Thailand is a little more, they say like sabai sabai, like easy. Of course, not in the South. The South is pretty violent with that stuff.
What is sabai sabai in
Sabai
Thai?
sabai is like, it means like, it's like, okay, okay, chill, chill, chill.
Oh,
Like
okay.
CHILL, chill. Like
Chill.
it's kind of the general attitude. It's like just
Um,
keep everything sort of like, yeah, whatever.
do you know how to speak Thai?
I'm learning.
Oh,
I
and
have 2 hours. I have 2 hours of lessons per week.
oh, okay, I see. All right.
But yeah, I when I first moved to Thailand, I didn't plan on learning it, but the last since COVID, basically, I started learning it.
Oh, I see. You have been staying there for 4 years.
4 years. Yeah, so about halfway, I guess. Less than that, really. It's only been about a little over a year since I started with Thai.
Oh, don't your
I like it.
parents feel sad about it, like you moving to another country?
Probably, yeah.
I see. Yeah, it's
They
normal.
have other children, so
Oh, okay. Anyway,
uh,
I'm going to move to Hong Kong soon, but not sure when. But I might increase the fee for to my students because after counting, I really have no idea. I don't know how to sustain. But I have to like, but luckily he said he will take care of the expenses, and yeah, luckily he's not renting the house, the units. Yeah, it's yeah, basically he has a home there. And
it's
then
good.
yeah, the
You
the
can
house
find Hong Kong students. I
very
know we talked
hard
about it, but if you're already teaching,
because
you might be surprised.
you have to learn Cantonese, and Cantonese is also quite hard for me. I only know
They can't.
Mandarin. I know how to
They,
speak Mandarin, but they are quite, you know, I mean, the Taiwanese and Hong Kongers, they are, how do I say that? They don't like people using simplified Chinese, they don't like it. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I have to be careful with that.
Wait, I thought Cantonese was similar. What is simplified Chinese?
Because the Taiwanese and the Hong Kongers, they use traditional Chinese. They have different characters. And the Chinese, the mainlanders, they actually simplified the Chinese character. So yeah, we can actually differentiate whether you are uh, a pure Chinese or a Hong Konger or Taiwanese by looking at the Chinese characters. So even my accent is more towards the mainlanders. So I have to be careful with it.
Yeah, it seems like that Hong Kong, I don't know, I've never been to Taiwan, but Hong Kong, the people that I talked to, of course, they were all young people, were not, I don't know, they didn't seem like upset towards mainland people, but
Yeah, in terms of business, but
they seem
how
to be bad at the China in general.
yeah, correct. But I
Mm.
think Hong Kong is slowly accepting it, but Taiwanese they are still very aggressive and they don't wish to like accept
Right.
China as the part of them. Yeah, but
Well, they have their own military and everything there. It's quite Taiwan is sort of its own special thing. You know,
mm-mm,
Hong Kong was just part of Britain, basically,
yeah.
same way that Malaysia was. So
Mhm.
it's like, I don't know. They're just like very westernized Chinese. Was that my impression there?
Yes, but I always tease my boyfriend. He doesn't speak English. I
Really?
always tease him because they have this kind of accent, so I always tease him. But I know it's bad lah, but towards him only lah. But yeah, not generally not the students. Okay.
So where is it? What about we got past religion, but what about the national pride, like national anthem?
Yes, you can teach them. Like during the assembly, you can play the national anthem and then everyone can sing the national anthem and
What
then
if what if the students don't want to? Should they be punished?
if they don't want to sing the national anthem,
Hmm.
uh, I don't think it's noticeable because when I was in high school, when I sing the national anthem, I was like shaking and laughing sometimes, but I do it
Yeah,
secretly.
of
But they don't
course.
seem to notice it. But
What about like we had at I don't know if American schools still do the national anthem. It probably depends on the area that you're in, um, whether they do or not. But when I was a child, they all did. But um, some students would like sit down
oh,
and
sit
not.
down. That's obvious.
Yeah. So, or they would sing like they wouldn't say anything, or it wasn't. We didn't have assemblies. They were just in the homeroom. So it was pretty obvious if you weren't singing. Um,
Mm.
so do you think that students should have some sort of nationalism? Saying that I'm not saying should they be forced to do things they don't want to do, but should they is it is it a bad sign if students aren't singing the national anthem?
Maybe no, because they might have problems on that day and then they don't feel like singing it. Like they are in a bad mood, so you can't force them to sing. Maybe if it's I mean it happens every time, then I think the kid needs consultation.
Okay. What if they just don't have a sense of national identity? Like
Um,
for example, like if it's let's say they're from Mexico and they come to America and they don't really feel, even maybe they have an American passport, but they don't really feel
Oh yeah,
like,
then this is serious. This is a serious offense that
okay,
they, because we never know whether the foreigners will plot anything bad against the country that receives it.
sure, yeah, that's
Yeah,
an extreme one, yeah, like terrorism.
yeah, correct.
That's not like I haven't heard of Mexican students not singing the anthem. I was just giving you an example. Um, but it's like in America, especially with the racial issues, it's a lot of schools have stopped with the national anthem, etc., because students and parents were upset that their students had to be there for it,
Um,
etc. Stuff that would be very unusual, I think, in
mm,
Malaysia. I think it would be
we have
unusual if
to
it's
sing the song. Normally, we are quite depending on, yeah, sometimes when we hear the song, we will automatically stand up and sing the
yeah.
national anthem. Yeah, it's a norm to do so. Yeah. Maybe the kids don't know what is going on, what's the point of singing the national anthem. Normally, we just follow. We are quite submissive.
I guess that's sort of a stereotype. I don't know if I think it's just if you look back to 50 years ago in America, then everyone would automatically sing for sure. I mean, I wasn't here 50 years ago, but I get an idea from the history books that that's the way it was. I think
Maybe
I
Asian
think the
countries.
countries tend to sort of go through stages of nationalism where they have a lot of nationalism and then not a lot. I think the US is in a period where people don't feel very proud of their country or nationalistic, a percentage anyway.
I see.
But I don't want to make this about the US. What about where should the line be drawn between appropriate nationalism, which you said appropriate nationalism is like standing up, being respectful, that sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and like ultra national, like hyper nationalism, which would be jingoism.
Ah,
Where,
okay.
where's the line? Where does it start to become a problem?
When um when propaganda start to step in, or some kind of like boycotts uh start to take place, then yeah, it's it's just, how do I draw the line? I think you have to set some rules or what, like, so that we are aware of the boundaries, like what should you do and what should not do to
Okay.
offend any parties.
So, for example, you talked about boycotts. Let's say a movie that comes out, or like a movie comes out and they have Malaysian people as the bad guys in the movie. Should that movie and the government, or sorry, not the government in this case, because we're talking about the people. The people decide that they're going to boycott it because it shows Malaysian people as like the villains in the movie. Is that jingoist or is that appropriate nationalism?
What do you mean? Like,
For example, a lot of Hollywood movies have Russian people as the villains. I
mm-hmm.
don't know if you've noticed this. Um, if Russian people say, okay, I just changed it to Malaysian, but like if Russian people say, okay, we're not going to watch, nobody in Russia should watch this movie. If you watch this movie, you're not a real Russian. Is that jingoist or is that understandable, appropriate?
uh I think it's not appropriate, because they are willing to take the role. They should blame they should blame the one who took up the role, not the director itself, maybe.
What if the people taking up the role aren't? This happens a lot where they're not actually Russian. They just have someone that speaks with a Russian accent.
Yeah, but
Or if they're Russian, like Russian people that are basically Americans.
I think uh maybe I think it's not appropriate to like blame everything on the product on the director or scriptwriter because
Right.
yeah, because it's like it's whether you take it or leave it. They should set a boundaries. Like the artist should have known the consequences
Right.
doing so.
So it should be like more of an individual choice. If you're offended by it, maybe don't see it, but organizing boycotts. This happens, like you said, I think that this is a really common thing in certain countries. And depending on who you ask, like people that are mainland Chinese that are super offended by talking about Taiwan, that's a real thing. They're triggered or whatever. For you or I, for us looking at them, it might be easy to be like, well, that's jingoism. Like they shouldn't be so offended just by people saying, talking about that in that way. But maybe for someone that grew up in China or knows the history of Taiwan and China, the war that was fought, maybe for them it's normal or appropriate. So maybe it just depends on your perspective. But some things are pretty, like, for example, like bombing a country just because you don't like them, or in this case, because you like your country so much. I think that's pretty much universally recognized as jingoist. So chauvinism, that's extreme. It's like extreme pride in your country, but it can also be extreme pride in just like being a man. It tends to be associated with men. The history is there was a guy named Chauvin who was a fictional character, I believe. I think he was fictional, but he was like a French soldier who was like super all about France. Like France is number one, England sucks, France is gonna rule the world. And so people took this term, his name, Chauvin, and said like chauvinist, which means like someone has that same set of beliefs towards
You
their
mean
country.
they
But
are idealistic? I
right.
suddenly thought of the word idealistic that we learned last time.
Yeah, like they're not basing their views in reality, and it's specifically like jingoist type views, like super confident in their country or super patriotic to the point where it's harmful to other people. But with modern like feminist theory and critical theory, chauvinists also became associated with men specifically. So you might see someone say male chauvinism.
Male chauvinism.
Which
I mean, it's
male
the
chauvinism
opposite
is
to
like,
feminism.
what's that?
I'm sorry. So, male chauvinism, that's the opposite of feminism, right? Is it
Yeah,
the opposite of feminism? I
it's
see.
like but it's sort of a specific nasty, because there are like men's rights activists. That's a small group, but they're people that like try to help men, I guess. But male chauvinism would be like things like really old-fashioned views towards women. So like they might say like, oh, women shouldn't drive, or like women shouldn't go to school, like extreme stuff.
Women shouldn't go to work. Women
Yeah,
shouldn't.
like the man should stay home and the woman should stay home and the man should go to work. That's like a chauvinist thing.
I see.
And I don't know if you can do you see how it sort of came from the nationalism
It's
idea?
like patriarchy. Can I say that?
Yeah, patriarch. Yeah.
Patriarchy.
Let's use patriarchal, which is the adjective. So
Oh, okay.
patriarchy is a noun. Patriarchal would describe something that's of the patriarchy. So male chauvinism, patriarchal. I'm just
So
saying,
how
like,
about the adjective of chauvinism?
what's chauvinism is a noun,
Oh,
but
okay.
chauvinist is an adjective.
Okay.
And it's any ism, right? Anytime you see an ism, it's usually a noun. Socialism,
Mm-mm.
communism, nationalism, just a belief in a specific political or religious.
But how about idealist? Idealist is the person, right?
Idealism.
Idealism. How about idealist?
Idealist is a
The
person who believes in ideals. Idealism is the whole body of like an idealism is when people are all about their beliefs and their beliefs maybe aren't very pragmatic, like we
Yes.
talked about.
They have their own idealism.
Yeah, right. They have idealism is specifically like having these like really high goals for everything, but they might not be realistic. Like, for example, we talked about this with pragmatism versus idealism.
Mm.
Oh my God. Pragmatic people are practical and they might find like an easy solution to a problem, one that works, where
Yeah.
idealistic people are very focused on ideals. So
On
they
their
might
beliefs. Right.
they might find a solution to a problem that doesn't work as well, but it's more morally just in their view. This is sort of a philosophical thing, but yeah, it's good to know.
Yeah.
I did want you to know chauvinism because it's pretty common and it's a bit confusing because of the two ways that it's used.
Because I
Talking
never
about
learned this word before. Because maybe it's not learned in Malaysia.
well, it could be that this quality is like positive there, right? It is in Thailand. Like people that are actually that's changing because the government is so unpopular there. But still, people are like super proud of their country, no matter how they feel about the government. And what's jingoist in America might not be jingoist in Malaysia. You know, like someone who's like, I don't know, for example, like puts huge American flags on their car and like flies them around all the time. That might be considered jingoist.
Yeah.
And in America, but maybe not in another country. Maybe in another country, you're just weird if you do that.
Yeah, correct.
Odd. But yeah.
I guess it's about time. I'm sorry because just now my student just like came in, so
Okay, that's
I guess
fine.
it's about time for you to speak too.
Well, we spent our hour together, so I guess when do you want to have our next class?
Up to you. I'm fine with anything.
Okay, I have a student in the morning, which is gonna be rough because I have to get up early.
I'm
But
okay with the nighttime actually.
okay, well, I mean, I just meant tomorrow morning, but
It's up to you.
we'll figure it out. I'll schedule it with you
Don't mind.
because
You can just drop me a message and then I'll check it.
right, because I think I'm a little bit stronger when I'm in the mornings my time.
Or mornings.
Yeah. I don't know if it affects my teaching, but I definitely I'm
I'm
a little
okay with it.
sure.
Night is I mean, nighttime, I'm not a morning person. Normally, I'm more active at night. So, yeah.
Okay, that works for me then.
All right. So, yeah, see you and good night. See you.
Okay.
See
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
Have a nice day.
Okay, you too.